Welcome to the Renegade Roundtable. This is your host for the evening, Kyle Hunt, coming to you live this Saturday night. It is May 6, 2017. I hope you've been enjoying all of the great content coming from Renegade Broadcasting and all of our great hosts. I am very pleased with the shows that have been airing on the network recently. Some very good material, fascinating content. And also, let us not forget about RenegadeTribune.com. A lot going on over there as well. This show, since it is the roundtable, requires your participation. The number is 747-999-6407. Again, 747-999-6407. I think I could be having Nick join me here sometime soon, and that will be great. A lot of different things to go over here tonight. Got a lot of different talking points, but I don't want to get too far into any of them before having somebody on the air to, well, hash it out here with. Okay, so let me just send off this Twitter message. Roundtable. Kyle is on. 747-999-6407. Yeah, of course I could have done this before the show, but I was watching some YouTube videos, even reviewing some of the debate with Beardson there, and I got caught a little bit off guard. Oh, a lot going on over on Twitter as well. You can follow by going to @Radio Renegades. I still can't believe I'm still operating there. I just can't say the F word. No, not F-U-C-K. F-A-G-G-O-T. That F word. And I think, what's the other one? Oh, yeah, the K word. Kosher. No, of course, I'm talking about the kikes. Ah, the damn kikes. Okay. Got some people coming on into the chat. Good to see you. Good to see you here. A lot has been going on this past week. A lot of people
This call is being recorded.
Oh, okay. The call is being recorded, and I have Mr. Nick Spiro here with me. Did a very fascinating show yesterday with Al Fatah about Libya, and I know a lot of people appreciated that show. Nick, welcome to the roundtable. Good to have you here with me.
Hey, Kyle. Thank you for the compliments and many props, and thank you for your show last Sunday regarding the USS Liberty as well.
Oh, thanks. Glad you liked that one. Very important information, and people need to be reminded from time to time about what our greatest ally has done. And having a first-hand witness, an eyewitness who was injured by them.
For both incidents, Al Fatah didn't say she was ever injured, but a lot of her family and friends and her country was destroyed. But yeah, first-hand witness accounts are the best for the most part. I mean, how you're there, you see it, you are with witnesses, and you experienced something of a huge magnitude to where else are you going to get the most accurate information from?
And I've talked to Germans who were alive during Hellstorm. I had some of them there at the screening in Myrtle Beach at the International Film Festival. We've done the same with South Africa. We get the first-hand reports, and we're dealing with a lot of information that is almost never covered within the alternative media, and especially within the kind of pro-white, alt-right, identitarian circles. It was only just a few months ago that TRS finally even touched upon the issue of South Africa. Just incredible.
Yeah, now the Suedlanders are going on Alex Jones and TRS type of radio shows. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, well, Sinead did help to organize that presentation that was given down here in Florida, and she put together the video for that. Now, I put forth to you when we were discussing this in private, my theory is that let's say that the Soodlanders are legitimate and they are really just seeking to do what is best for their people. And I believe most of the people in the Soodlanders are probably of that nature. However, seeing them go on Alex Jones makes you think, well, it seems like the powers that be, the ones who are controlling Jones, rubbing their hands, that they are looking to promote this right now. And it could be that what they're setting up here is a way to make the white people of South Africa seem like they deserve what's coming to them. Let's say the white people in South Africa defend themselves against some kind of action. They're already being genocided, but let's say they actually do strike back. It's like in football where a person gives a cheap shot and the person who then retaliates is the only one who's seen doing it, and then the flag is thrown. That's what I'm saying could be going on here, and the rest of the world, because of the Jewish spin of the media, could look at what's taking place in South Africa and say, well, look, you've got these militant white people down there who just are not, going along with the black government, even though they're trying to steal their land by force and calling for their genocide. The people of the West are not going to be presented with that information. They're going to try to make it seem like, well, the violence that's taking place against white people is deserved. They're the ones who provoked it with their racism and their militancy.
Yeah, and we have to understand that we're dealing with this huge web of NGOs and think tanks and an unlimited bank account, a blank check that are intended for our demise. So it's not out of the question of having another group like, let's say, the Soodlanders, who could potentially have an ulterior motive, like what you're saying. Not all of them, of course, but it's like the John Birch Society. A lot of good people were involved with that. But at the upper echelons, you've got people controlling the narrative behind the scenes.
Now, I want to make it clear, I don't have any information to indicate that the Soodlanders are anything but legitimate and looking just to evacuate as many people as possible in case some big event does go down. That does seem to be where it is heading, and we obviously need groups like that to be in place with an action plan. However, we need to also look at what is taking place here in America with the controlled opposition that is forming on, of course, both sides. They play both sides. And a great example of this would be Berkeley. In Berkeley, you have the Antifa out there. Some of them going under the name Resist Fascism, which is obviously just a code word for anti-fascist, right? They were being funneled money by a George Soros organization. So Soros is actually funding the Antifa out there. But
and then we've got the right, who could potentially be funded by what everybody on the left says, the Koch brothers. So we've got the dialectics going on with your Proud Boys and their Free Masonic organization. What is it? The Alt-Knight?
Yeah, the Alt-Knights. Yeah, and they have their hazing rituals, their initiations. And with Soros in particular, who are they defending? They're defending Trump, who took a $160 million loan from Soros in 2004, and whose son-in-law and top advisor, senior advisor, 35-year-old Jared Kushner, the Chabad Lubavitch Jew, he is a business partner of George Soros, it turns out. So you've got Soros on one side against Soros on the other side. And that's a simplified way of looking at it, of course. But you've got the connections to both sides there. And also, let's just bring in Israel. On one side, you have the anti-fascists, and you can look this up, people. Anti-fascist, or Antifa, means standing with Israel. Look up the images of Antifa Israel. They have a long history of standing up for Israel and the Jewish people. Then right on the other side of these battles in Berkeley, you've got the Spartan man with a Jew star on his helmet and a rainbow peace flag. And you've also got Milo Yiannopoulos, whose free speech was being infringed upon, and that's why they were all out there rioting, defending his honor, his free speech. Well, he unfurls a big Israeli flag at some of his presentations. So you've got people standing for Zionists on both sides of the Battle of Berkeley. It could not get any more obvious than this.
Absolutely. Another thing that came out recently was Kushner's business partner in Israel, one of the most wealthiest persons in Israel. I think the Saltzmans, the diamond barons, basically, of Israel, which is backing a lot of the investments of Kushner as well.
Well, there you go. It's a very tangled web, and anybody that doesn't have their head shoved squarely up their behind parts, kind of like I'm just getting an image of Gavin. Anybody that doesn't have something shoved up there could easily see that the left and the right share a whole lot in common, and neither of them are our allies. Yet so many people have gotten sucked right back into this dialectic after the election, and particularly after Trump launched the missiles into Syria. Lost a lot of support, and they were able to rally a whole lot more of these alt-right people right back behind him because of the pageantry going on out in Berkeley.
Well, it was just Cinco de Mayo or De Milo the other day with your butt plug black dildo imagery that's all over Berkeley now, or at least in some parts of Berkeley.
Yes, well, we know that Milo himself has said many times that he loves big black cock. This is the conservative icon who raised $12 million for his new media platform, and I've never seen anything about the money that he took to have a white male scholarship. I think he just took that. I'm not seeing any further developments with that. But in any event, he also had a T-shirt out there that said BBC, and it had a big cock, a rooster, on it. And he was selling this to, I think, men and women. So he was selling this to white women, a BBC T-shirt. But yes, this alt-right icon. And the Berkeley posters that you mentioned are literally a big black penis. How obscene. Children are walking around on those streets and seeing a big black penis for Cinco de Milo.
He's also suing Simon and Schuster for his $10 million book deal.
It's so disgusting seeing how much money is thrown at some of these people when I'm thinking each week, what can I buy at the grocery store? Should I splurge on this? Am I able to? I have a computer that is literally falling apart. I have two computers. One's a studio computer, and I do all the other work on the other laptop. It's literally falling apart. And I'm watching all of these shills with no talent flying all around the country, all around the world, and getting huge amounts of money thrown at them because they're willing to toe various party lines. Brittany Pettibone flying over to France for the Le Pen elections, which I'd like to get into maybe a little bit later with you.
Sure.
Proud.
There's also
Go ahead.
riots going on right now in Paris as we speak. Nice and timed for the election, which these riots will only benefit Le Pen, but like you said, we can get into that later.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add about the Proud Boys here? If anybody can't see what this is all about, like with pride parades and all of the homosexual things that Gavin has done, showing his butthole multiple times on camera, putting a black butt plug up his butt and showing that on camera. He showed his erection on camera as well on the Anthony Cumia network. And I always found it funny that the TRS guys, back when I was talking to them a while ago, still in communication before the big fallout, they were saying that's where they were hoping they could end up, on the Anthony Cumia network. One more thing about Gavin. I'm sure... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that reminds me of the other Power Through Discipline and how they were into the Howard Stern show pretty much their entire life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure you saw when Gavin was on InfoWars, and in the background, I think it was the Rebel studio, there was, up on this big shelf in the corner, there was a Star of David overlaid on top of a rainbow flag behind Gavin McInnes. People pointed that out. Go ahead.
Yeah, he also made out with Milo over at the Orlando Pulse nightclub as a protest of Islam.
Yes. F-U Islam. That's what he said. F-U Islam. The counter-jihad is so homosexual and so Jewish, it's not even funny. And so many people have been sucked into it.
What, you got a problem with gays getting thrown off of buildings, Kyle? Come on, no?
Kevin McDonald. I want to talk about this. I meant to talk about it in last week's roundtable. His promotion of Tommy Robinson, formerly of the EDL, the English Defense League, picture on top of an Israeli tank. Tommy Robinson, I confronted him about this on Twitter, and he defended his actions, said basically we need people like this in order to confront Antifa. Interesting how Antifa has really become this big boogeyman that we all need to rally against, despite our differences, in order to protect our free speech and defend Western civilization from these terrorists.
Yeah, I think that's designed that way, not only as a distraction, but an actual Civil War scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I don't like Antifa, of course. They're anti-white terrorists. That is true. They published my parents' former address on one of their sites. They threaten violence. They commit violence time and again. However, they are now being painted as this big threat, this big boogeyman, and given lots of money so as to set up this civil war that you're talking about. And we're seeing videos come out now of them shooting guns at a range, and they're getting extra militant. And it's just an escalation on both sides, with the base stickmen and helmets and gas masks from the Proud Boys and the Alt Knights. And on the other side, the Black Bloc. They're all dressed all in black. They look like ISIS, and now they're at the shooting ranges. And some people are laughing about it. I think it's really funny because, yeah, they weren't shooting very well, and some of these people aren't all that well built. Not to say that some of the people on the right wing actually are. But the point is, it's not a laughing matter when it looks like we could be facing a serious civil war, and when people with guns are threatening to come against pro-whites, which include people like us. That isn't a laughing matter, no matter how bad their shot may be at the range. I take that very seriously.
Yeah, this strategy of tension, it's happening basically in white countries, in European ancestry-based countries, and there's a reason for that. And it goes back to the Kalergi plan. You know.
So let's talk just a little bit more about Kevin McDonald, David Duke, and the line that some of these people are taking, not just in promoting the likes of Tommy Robinson, but in shifting the narrative away from what Trump is doing to what everybody but Trump is doing, how everybody is subverting Trump, and how Trump actually, meant really well or might mean well, but it's all of these negative influences. My opinion on this is that they're doing this to try to save face and remain relevant, because if they were to admit that Trump was a stooge, their guy, a made man the whole time, a made man of the Kosher Nostra, which we've been saying for so very long here, then they would have to admit that they were idiots that got played like fools. And they can't do that. So they have to maintain the narrative that Trump really was the good guy who wanted to make America great again. And that's why they were wearing stupid freaking red hats. And that's why David Duke was saying, if you don't vote for Trump, the biggest Zionist in U.S. presidential history, that you are a traitor to your race.
Absolutely. And they need to keep their audience distracted and riled up and focused on something other than the real problem, which is the Jews.
Mm-hmm. Let me just go through a few little headlines and synopses here. Synopses. I think that's the correct way to put it. White House. Trump stands with Israel. This is whitehouse.gov. It's funny, when I access that from this computer, it gives me a privacy error. I've got to click through. It doesn't have on my other computer. President Trump stands with Israel. It's just a very simple page. President Trump stands in solidarity with Israel to reaffirm the unbreakable bond between our two nations and to promote security and prosperity for all. Stand with President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Add your name. And then there's a form where you can say that you too stand with Trump and Israel. That's cute on whitehouse.gov. We also have Trump mourning the Jewish Holocaust victims, vowing to fight anti-Semitism in speech to Jewish group. This came out April 23rd. This is a little bit older, but some of the quotes here are just so incredible. On Yom HaShoah, we look back at the darkest chapter of human history, the president said. We mourn, we remember, we pray, and we pledge. Never again, I say it, never again. The mind cannot fathom the pain. I know Trump doesn't sound like this, but this is the way he should. The horror and the loss. 6 million Jews, 2/3 of the Jews in Europe, murdered by the Nazi genocide. They were murdered by an evil that words cannot describe and that the human heart cannot bear. Today, only decades removed from the Holocaust, we see a great nation risen from the desert. We see a proud star of David waving above the state of Israel. He goes on, vowing to fight anti-Semitism and bigotry. We must stamp out prejudice and anti-Semitism wherever it's found. We must defeat terrorism, and we must not ignore the threats of a regime that talks openly of Israel's destruction. We cannot let that ever be thought of. To all of you tonight who have come from around the world, let it be known, America stands strong with the state of Israel. So, yeah. Pence
will be in Israel in the next week or two. I don't know exactly the date on that. I know that his administration or some other individuals wanted him to push it to June, but Trump is like, no, I'm not going to push it out that long.
Is he going to be at the Wailing Wall with the kip on?
Well, let's wager bets. I say yes.
I say odds are that he is going to be at the Wailing Wall with that kippah on. How could you buck the trend of so many U.S. presidents and senators and congressmen in general? Yeah, I'd have to say that that's going to happen, and I can't wait for that photo opportunity. Oh, man, it's so many people have flipped in 2017, and we're going to get to some of the other people a little bit later. But we've been proven right so many times. We're like, hey, guys, this is not your ally here. And it's all coming out in 2017. As I said on Twitter, the mask is being lifted. You'll see a whole lot revealed in this coming year. Let's see.
Yes, we will. This is the year of revealing, I believe. This is the year that I actually have been saying for quite a while, for at least 4 years, 2017. I don't know why. But I felt that the 2020 date was the date of the completion of the New World Order, the Jew World Order, and 2017 would be the year of complete chaos throughout the world.
How about this, Nick, on Haaretz? Will Trump let Israel continue to dictate American policy? You would never see that headline in an American newspaper. How brazen. And the answer is, of course, yes. Yes, he will. But they are so open with their control over the U.S. government, it's sickening. Will Trump let Israel continue to dictate American policy?
Yeah, I agree. And there's this thing going on right now with Roger Stone where he's attacking Stephen Bannon now, where he was our guy that Kushner was preventing from having these nationalist talking points and actual follow through for all of the promises that Donald Trump has made pre-election.
Yep, we've got a whole lot of interesting developments. We'll not just be focused on Trump here tonight. It's like beating a dead horse. He is perhaps the most pro-Jewish, pro-Zionist president we've ever seen, and that says a whole lot when we're talking about people, not just Barack Obama, who some people thought was a secret Muslim, but who was hailed as the first Jewish president, and Trump has been hailed as the same thing, but Lyndon Baines Johnson. We've got so many examples of people bending over backwards, but this is taking it to a whole new level. We'll be back right after the break. Welcome back to the second segment here of this roundtable. I'm joined by Nick Spiro of Circus Maximus every Friday night here on Renegade Broadcasting. Nick, I've got a tweet that just came in from somebody calling themselves Ezra Pound. Thanks for what you do, Kyle. I didn't want to believe what you have been saying about certain personalities, but only a fool could deny it now. And I take some credit, but everybody here at the network who has been working to expose the operations should be given some credit. In particular, you, Nick, Sinead, and a few others who deal with these topics. A lot of people don't want to do it. It's considered infighting by many. Speaking of which, did you what are your thoughts, Nick, on the Beardson debate from this week?
Fucking ridiculous. I don't even know why anybody gives this guy the fucking time of day. This guy's ridiculous. There's nothing of value or substance from this guy. And he had nothing to say to you, especially. He was in agreement with everything that you were saying, and then he wanted to act as if he won this debate, which was not a debate at all.
No, it wasn't a debate. And I'd like to have real debates, but I don't think that any of the thought leaders of the alt-right would actually engage. I'll challenge all of them right now. I was actually thinking about making an infographic to lay out some different talking points, or basically just to call out various figures and make a public challenge to debate Andrew Anglin, Richard Spencer, David Duke, and some of these people, but they would not, and they would probably hide behind the excuse that infighting makes us look bad. While you go ahead.
So I was just going to say that certain individuals aren't going to debate you because it will destroy their narrative that they're trying to perpetuate, that they're going to have this protectionist attitude and behavior to avoid certain individuals, like I said, to not have their cover ruined. And
that seems to have been that's what happened with the Beardson debate on Daily Stormer. People had posted it in their BBS, their message board, and the big thread on it was titled F. Beardson Beardley, or Beardley Beardson, however he goes by. I know nothing about the guy really, other than that he seems like a Jew. Well, he looks like a Jew, he acts like a Jew, he speaks like a Jew, and he defends Jews and instead puts the blame on white women. But the people at Daily...
Goes back to the Benjamin Netanyahu, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yeah, well, you know what I found really funny, looking at it in hindsight, is when I finally asked him, do you have Jewish blood? He started clapping and laughing. And I don't know if you caught Massimo's wild card that he did with Nathan. He was talking about how Jews have this tendency to try to mock or ridicule in a very obnoxious fashion, and it's caught on with some of the Italians he knows, where they clap right in front of your face. And that's exactly what he did when he said, yeah, I'm a Jew. So I think that his actions speak louder than words sometimes, and his words were saying literally, "I'm a Jew." If you're not Jewish, just say, "No, I'm not Jewish." But oh, he's an internet comedian, so he has to make a joke out of everything. But the people at Daily Stormer saw through it once they saw this debate. They might not have realized just what this guy was about until he was challenged on these issues. Then they're wondering, why the hell is he posted here? So I think
that debate really triggered Asmodor, though. That was fucking great. He was all over the YouTube comments, like, as soon as it was posted, and there were a dozen comments from Asmodor, this disgusting filth, calls himself a white nationalist.
Yeah.
Fucking, what is he, an UNGTO, men going their own way, anti-woman. I mean, anything that a woman has to say, he goes, oh, I don't care, you're a woman, you have no value of whatever you say because you're a woman.
Yeah, he would probably say, why did you have that thought on your show last night, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I had. I had a thought on my show yesterday afternoon. That's exactly what I had.
Could run circles around him in 5 languages.
Yeah.
Oh, it's retarded. That whole movement, the Daily Stormer especially, is retarded, and it's intended to retard the discussion, to bring it down to a very base, childish level. And I'm trying to bring our people up. That's what we're doing here with Renegade, is trying to educate, inform, and that's not really what they're doing over there. They're running an operation.
They're pumping. The operation is to create man-childs who are like women, icky, and throw tantrums and triggering people as if that's exploitive and information that's of value. There is no value coming from them. It's triggering SJWs and promoting ISIS and black rappers as the masculine people that white people should emulate.
Yeah. I got actually some threats, or at least one threat, from somebody who lives in Florida, says he's pretty close to me, and who's also said he's rummaged through my garbage. That's what these people are doing. If they're go ahead.
We have more enemies on our so-called right than we do on the left. It seems.
Well, this guy was saying, because I was not supporting Andrew Anglin's $150,000 goal fundraiser, I was a race traitor, and I should be dealt with, and I'd better look out. And $150,000. Do you know how much could be done for our cause with that money? And instead, it's going to bail out this little freaking troll, Andrew Anglin, who had quite a reaction to his forums turning on him after the Beardson-Beardley debate. And he actually changed the rules for the forums afterwards, and essentially said, you can't criticize anybody who's on our side. So that includes Beardson. You'll get flagged and suspended if you criticize Beardson. But if you even bring up somebody such as Sinead or Kyle or Renegade, especially if it's in anything but a completely negative light, but I think we're completely banned in general. You can't even talk about us now. Then you'll be banned. So criticize Beardson, the Jew who's promoting hatred of white women, not doing anything to stand up for Western civilization. Banned. You say anything decent about Renegade, which has been right time and again, banned. It's just, they're on complete lockdown now, and I think they're in a really big damage control mode. Even the Honeypot Studios, where Beardson and his crew were having their videos, after the debate, they came out with these videos where a few of the other guys were doing solo videos and saying, oh yeah, Beardson's a Jew, and making a big joke out of Beardson being a Jew, and they actually confused quite a few of their viewers who didn't know what was going on. They're like, what the hell's going on? I don't even know what to believe anymore. It's kind of just this cluster F going on over there. And they even switched channels because they say Renegade people flag the debate so they can't live stream over there anymore. We told nobody to do that. I don't think any Renegade people would have flagged it, but that's what they're claiming, is that we got their channel shut down.
Yeah, I don't think that's even possible anyway, because what was said during that so-called debate, there was nothing that could have their channel shut down to begin with.
They were saying that I don't even know, and nor do I care, really. I'm completely done with all those people. I might bring up Anglin or the Stormer when it is relevant, but these people, I wouldn't have even gotten sucked into that debate unless I thought that something could be accomplished from it. I do think that something was accomplished, and a lot of people have seen the Daily Stormer and Beardson for what they truly are. But I hate having to deal with people like that.
I could tell in your body language that you did not even want to be in that position, but I'm glad you did, because it did shed some light on the Anglin and Beardson operation. They actually did a show together, a political show about the Trump so-called Union of the State of the Union address, and it was Azzmador, Anglin, and Beardson. And he was talking as if during your debate that he's not political, he doesn't care about what's going on. So why even participate in that whole conversation with Anglin and Azzmador to begin with? If you're adding dialogue throughout this conversation that's related to politics in the world and things that people care about, and you're acting as if you're YOLO, man, I don't give a shit what's going on. It's all about, the tech.
Yeah, praise cuck. Hey, we're getting requests to have a little bit more volume on your end, if that is possible.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that. I'm using a pretty good mic and headset kind of a thing for my phone, so I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to increase my volume.
Okay, you're on your phone. Okay, that explains it.
And the only person that's actually saying something about it is the Kony 2012. So.
Yeah. I think it's coming through fine. Sometimes with the phone calls, it is just it's a little bit lower. Some people are a lot lower, but I think this will be just fine. Yeah, let's see. How many other people are getting exposed right now, or rather exposing themselves?
Cernovich going and becoming employed with InfoWars.
I mean, I thought he exposed himself, years ago, but yeah, but that is an interesting one for sure. First, getting the White House press pass, causing a stir in there by saying that the left-wing media won't call out Antifa as a terrorist organization. He's just getting so much support, and then he's on the InfoWars network now. Oh, moving on up.
Richard Spencer's been discussing the Ukrainian genocide.
Yeah, he's saying the Holodomor was an accident. It wasn't actually a genocide. It was just an unfortunate turn of circumstance. You had some collectivization going on, some droughts. The Bolsheviks didn't mean to kill them. And we know his ties to Alexander Dugin. Finally, some people are starting to catch on with the National Bolshevik, the fourth position Eurasianist Alexander Dugin, who we've been talking about for so long now, and what he's really all about. All of his anti-white quotes, his quotes about genociding the Ukrainians, and his ties to not just Richard Spencer, but to David Duke, to Matthew Heimbach, and to a lot of the other controlled opposition within the pro-white struggle.
And I guess he's opening up a media platform in Sweden, too.
Spencer?
Yes.
Yeah, the expansion of altright.com, I think, right?
Right. And then if you watch the promotional video of the Proud Boys, allegedly they have chapters all over the world already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see the direct quote here. Not Ukrainian genocide, but a famine caused by collectivization and natural factors also affecting other areas, Russia, Caucasus, etc. That was Richard's tweet. Apparently a lot of people who I guess were still thinking he was an all right guy have since turned today. Richard goes on these tweet storms on certain days, and he lets it all loose and shows exactly his true colors, and I'm glad to see it. There was also quite a bit I was seeing today about how Richard Spencer was talking about how ethnic identities, I wish I could find this right now, ethnic identities are a bunch of crap. He's really, well, he's Eurasianist, but what he's focusing on is getting the western section of Eurasia to drop their borders, to basically get into that EU model and erase all of their cultural differences. Just become a kind of white amalgam. And some of the things he was saying about just ethnic identitarians was pretty damn telling. Let me see if I could find this. What do you think about this? Do you see any of that?
Well, I've known him to push the pan-Europeanism as far as dropping your nation, your ethnic identity, and calling yourself just European, and uniting that way, which is a model of the Eurasian model, where it's a complete body of nations, and you basically lose your identity at that time when that happens, where you are then, it's a large amalgamation of the EU.
Mm-hmm. I can't find the quotes. Maybe the person blocked me today. Beyond left and right, beyond red and white, framing the liberation war in Donbass. That was from his wife, Nina. Starting with a quote, "There are no separate Russia or Ukraine, but one holy Rus." So, yeah. So there's where some of that's coming from. No, the Bolsheviks. Let's not talk about who they were, their ethnic identity. And no, they didn't actually genocide any Ukrainians. That was just an accident. Damn, I wish I could find these quotes from him today. He was going overboard.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick that the Trump campaign and how he had said that NATO is irrelevant. I know that he reneged and took that back, by speaking out how NATO is important, but dismantling NATO, the defenses of Europe, that was the whole point, allegedly, for creating NATO to begin with, was to have military defense against the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And they got bored. There wasn't any battles going on, so then they utilized these stay-behind armies for
Gladio.
Attacking their own people, and Gladio,
yep.
And the strategy of tension.
Yeah, for some reason I was able to see the Spencer tweets before. I've retweeted them so people can look on the on my Twitter account. Retweeted Emperor Trajan and William, and I can't read them because Spencer blocked me long ago. But people can check that out. Saying some pretty disgusting things today that most people would disagree with. This guy, if you can't tell by now that something's going on with him after seeing him pictured with Laura Bush, learning about the elite private school he went to in Texas, how MPI was founded by William Regnery of Regnery Publishing, and how they're tied to the Rothschilds and all of the big power players back in the day, how they launched William F. Buckley, and how...
CIA and Council for National Policy.
Wait, you mean to tell me that the Council for National Policy might be somehow related to the National Policy Institute? That's a bit of a stretch.
Nah, not at all.
Think about this.
Especially since the Bush connection right there that you just mentioned.
Isn't an institute pretty much the same thing as a council?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. National policy. And what is the national policy that the CNP pushes and NPI? It's pretty damn similar. They're a little bit, they're not on board in the same exact things, but that's because the NPI is for the younger, fashy crowd. But where it really counts, Richard Spencer is very much...
Kyle, the alt-right and the National Policy Institute are kind of a reflection of the John Birch Society, which is the arm of the Council for National Policy.
Mr. Producer, can you play clip 17?
1488, please.
Oh, and anything you'd like to add about where Mr. Rayvold has gone with his rhetoric, because I'm very disappointed. I thought that we did have an outlet on RBN, well, at least prior to the election, that was going to be critical of Donald Trump, was willing to look into some of these connections. I was pretty much able to go on there and lay it all out. And I've had him on my show a few times, but man, oh man, have things changed. Yeah, he'll still throw some bones out there, say, oh, look, Trump's doing this, and he's talking to Jews about that. But we can't know what's in his heart. Yahweh, or he calls it God. I mean, we don't know how God works. He says that Trump is an instrument of God. And he's literally said that and made all sorts of excuses for why we can't just give up on Trump yet. And it all kind of fits within this narrative of we got to wait and see. And I've been so mad about this ever since we heard that Trump was going to be running back in 2015, because I knew we were going to be delayed for so long, because it was going to be, well, let's wait and see how he does in the primaries. And then let's wait and see how he does in the general elections. And then let's wait and see how he does in his first 100 days. And then after, you don't get any results there, let's wait and see how he does in his first year. Okay, let's wait and see how he does in his first term. And he's going to be going up against a complete cultural Marxist Bolshevik, a communist in 2020. It might even be Bernie Sanders. We can't let Bernie win. We'll have to get behind the Zog Emperor again, because we have no other choice. So let's just wait and see. Once he has his first term in the bag, then he'll start he'll start building the wall. Then he can finally MAGA. All we got to do is basically sit on our asses and wait till we cast the next vote.
Kyle, it sounds like you would have rather have had Hillary Clinton win.
100%, Nick. And I said this before the elections as well. Not because I like Hillary one bit. It's because all of the right-wing retards would be up in D.C. They could have been up there protesting against Pizzagate. We could have been flooding D.C. We would have had the military going against possibly some of the actions that were taking place, kind of like how they did when Obama tried to go into Syria. We could have seen a lot more resistance than we're seeing now. We see no organized resistance. The left wing isn't even
controlled resistance.
Well, I'm talking about, we're not seeing any legitimate resistance, not any kind of anti-war resistance. Yeah, Richard Spencer went out there after the Syria strike to say about how he's anti-war. But where's the left wing? They're out there battling with the right wing in the streets. This is all manufactured, and it's to keep us from actually standing up as an American people and saying no more.
The people that are pro-Trump voted for Trump, alt-right, all the above, who are using Syrian flags and Iranian flags. You guys should be ashamed of yourself the entire time. Ban kebab and this and that, and then you're putting up Islamic countries' flags.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and all these people, they thought that was great when he was talking about the Muslim ban. But they didn't really seem to care about when he said he was going to ban anti-Semites from coming to the country, and he's done exactly that with not allowing Ernst Sundell to be with his wife of 16 years.
Some of these people even have North Korea flags on their avatar, and they're the ones that are talking about communism this, communism that. And North Korea is a communist country.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, we have a caller from Canada. We'll get to Canada in just a little bit. Canada! I've seen some crap coming from Canada, but let's hope that that's not this caller. Hello, Canadian caller. What's going on? Who's this? Canada.
Hello.
I want to invade Canada. I would love to invade Canada. There's a real enemy for us. Not the Canadian people, but Trudeau. You remember when Trudeau released that booklet, or what was that? Some kind of policy paper in the very peak of Pizzagate. Maybe it was a little bit in the denouement, But while Pizzagate was still going really strong, he releases this big report with the pedophile triangle, the boy lover triangle, right there on the front cover, just shoving in your face. Out there on the street.
Not only that, but that was around the same time that they were talking about lowering the age of consent for sodomy too.
Yeah. Well, they had already legalized bestiality. The pictures of him out there in the streets with people in homosexual men in thongs, trannies, all in bondage gear. Oh.
Yeah. He's another Roger Stone. He's a libertarian.
It's just so disgusting. Children are out there on the streets, and you've got the leader of a country out there with these degenerates, endorsing it.
I think Common Filth said it best. How are you? He was talking about the alt-right, like McFeels, who just blocked me the other day for totally ripping into him. Something along the lines of, you guys are trying to fight or prevent Weimar from happening while you're promoting and support all of these faggots and trannies and whatever in your movement.
What do you think about Mike Enoch getting doxxed? Mike Pinovich, turns out he's a half Jew. I'm pretty sure that's certain by now. At least a half Jew, and his wife was fully Jewish and loved diversity and homosexuals and drag queens and everything. He gets doxxed. Daily Stormer, David Duke, everybody comes out in this guy's defense. Richard Spencer, Henrik, everybody comes out in his defense. And now he's a big public persona. TRS raised, $6,000 in a day or something?
Yeah.
And Jazz Hands and Halberstram were able to retire from Fascination because, they were about to get doxxed. Well, how convenient, because they're completely irrelevant after Trump got elected. But now Pinovich is out there he was at the Kentucky rally giving speeches. He's now this big leading voice for the movement. What the hell's going on?
I don't know. It's a bizarre world, man. I kind of want to go to Mars.
Yeah, honestly, if Gaddafi was still in power right now, I'd be seeking asylum. I don't mean to say that I want complete white flight. I would still be trying to wage war. But, man, I am so very disappointed with white people right now, especially those who are awake. And the leaders are controlled opposition, in my opinion, but there are so many dupes out there. Thankfully, a lot are starting to wake up.
They just attach to these cult of personality figures too easily. And I don't want to say, you guys are retarded and this and that. They've been indoctrinated by the Jew, and hero worship has been involved with sporting athletes and celebrities. So it's just something that they have to deprogram, and something has to happen in order for them to snap out of it.
Well, here's another thing, is they want to be part of the crowd. They've already distanced themselves from mainstream society, but they are getting sucked into the kind of this collectivist groupthink where renegades, they're the rejects, they're the pariahs. You can't deal with them. We got our fashy crowd over here. Hey, second hour coming up. Welcome back. Second hour here of the Roundtable. Canadian caller, are you there yet? No. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Hey, no problem. Welcome. Who is this?
John.
John from Canada, yes. Along with Andy from Canada, you're one of the only people from Canada who I really would like to talk to that I know of right now. I've had some bad experiences with these guys.
Thank you.
Ezra Levant and his Rebel Media coming out of Canada, but playing a huge part in American politics. Isn't that interesting? And some former hosts here on the network as well coming out of Canada. But yeah, anyway, John, what's up? What are your thoughts for the night?
Well, I was listening to the show, and it's going great. And what I wanted to say was, that all these pro-Trump people and all this hype about Trump and all these people, you got to take for granted that this whole thing is going to be full of Jews. Like it's like that. A lot of these people are going to be shills, and the reason I think that and suspect that, I mean, it just seems obvious to me. But they're always using the same arguments, like you were saying before. It's always like, let's just wait and see what Trump does. Let's just wait and see what he does. Like everybody's saying, let's just. They're all saying the exact same thing, that we should wait and see. Like what needs to be seen. I mean, we already know his kids are married to Jews. He loves Israel. I mean, the guy's not good for us, and I think we have to take for granted that anybody who supports him just can't be part of this. They just can't be trusted. I mean, they're either compromised in some way, or they're hopelessly stupid, and unless they can convince you, unless they can do a convincing argument, but they can't. It's always the same argument. It's always like, let's just wait and see what he does. Or if you're pro-Trump, then if you're not pro-Trump, that means you're pro-Hillary. Like they always say the same thing. They're always, I think that's the Jews. They're trying to create a false narrative. They're trying to control every opposition angle to everything, and you got to just write these people up. If they're pro-Trump, they're no good. Anybody who supports that guy is no good. There's sorry to say it, but David Duke, I mean, he's pro-Trump. He's saying white people have to support this guy. Well, he's no fucking good. He's no good.
Yeah, we should have known since the 80s that Trump was not on our side. We should have known since Michael Collins Piper wrote about his connection to Resorts International and the Jewish Mafia. I mean, you're taking over from Meyer Lansky pretty much, and you think this guy's going to be on our side? You don't
Kyle,
become a made man. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that just raises the red flag of with the ugly truth and Mark Glenn, who Michael Collins Piper lived over at Mark Glenn's house. Mike Piper writes this article about Trump, and then it's like, oh, forget about what Piper said at that point. He was, not correct about Trump, I guess. Let's just ignore it.
Yeah. Nick, if you become a made man with the Jewish mob, are you able to turn against them and live?
It's like the CIA. You're always CIA.
Yeah. Oh, and it does look like he comes from Jewish blood. His father was very much involved with the Jewish community in New York. People say, oh, they just have to do that to do business, real estate business in New York. You look at some of the evidence regarding his family, it looks like the guy is actually, if not 100% himself, a Jew. He is Jewish as hell.
His father donated acres of land for the Hasidic Jews back in New York a while ago.
Yeah, he's just playing the game. Hey, and all the Anglin's argument during the campaign was everything he's saying to Israel, to the Jews, those are just words. He doesn't actually mean it. He's really going to MAGA. He's really on our side. And I mean, I was saying the whole entire time, yeah, those are just words. And those are the ones he's going to follow through with. What he's saying to you with his dog whistles, with the, that's just the game. That doesn't mean anything, because you're a freaking goy on the internet. You're just some stupid little peasant to be analyzed by Cambridge Analytica, to be played. You don't matter. Those Jews with billions and trillions of dollars, to whom Trump is indebted, to whom Trump is with whom Trump is in bed, those are the people who matter. You don't matter, shitlord.
Kyle, I'm open. Like, I'm open-minded. I'm open to the idea that Donald Trump, in some dark corner of his soul, that he's pro-white, that he's playing the long game, that he's playing this four-dimensional chess game where he's out-Jewing the Jew, and that he's going to, in the end, he's good for whites. I'm open to that theory. It's just nobody's given me a convincing argument. And when I give those people a convincing argument why pro-Trump, why Trump is bad for us, which I've done. I mean, the guy is not only connected to Jews, but it's plainly obvious to me what they're doing is the guy's role in all of this is to conceal Jewish power. He's pretending to be a racist so that they can blame everything that they do, all their wars and all the trouble they cause. They can blame this on white people. It's all about controlling the opposition. Well, nobody's answered that.
Yep.
So, I'm willing to debate these people. I'm willing to talk about this guy, and I'm open to all kinds of ideas. But nobody's convinced me. I don't see Trump playing the four-dimensional long game. What the fuck is he doing? It's just always wait and see. No, these people, they're all a bunch of Jew shills. If you're pro-Trump, you're no fucking good.
Well, I agree with that, especially at this point. I'm willing to accept some people who are converted within his first 100 days as at least being people who, especially if they weren't thought leaders, people who can listen to Renegade, chat in the chat, and especially if they've apologized for the error in their ways. It doesn't mean I have to respect them because their judgment was obviously a bit off, but they could potentially earn my respect again somehow. But people who are still Trump-tards, wow, that's pretty bad. Oh, but Baked Alaska still out there giving the okay sign. Hey, everything is okay. We discussed that on the show last week. Just wanted to point out one thing about the Latinos for Trump. Baked Alaska going around in this big tour van, this big tour bus with some guy who's been pictured at the Berkeley riots. He's a Latino for Trump, but he wears an interesting necklace with a Jew star on it. Basically, the Trump-tards the alt-knights are out there with the JDL. They might not be flying their flags, but the people who was bullhorning in D.C. when nobody was there, no pro-whites were there to call out AIPAC, well, they're now on their side. They're on the side of the JDL. That yellow and black, as Nick has pointed out, that the Proud Boys wear, that looks a whole lot similar to the JDL flag, so isn't that something? We've got two more callers joining this show, so let's get to them. First up is Bill. Bill, welcome. What are your thoughts?
I just got here, so I'm just listening for now.
Okay, Bill, I'll come back to you after we talk a little bit more. We have another caller from Canada. Is it? Oh, no, it can't be. It can't be Avalion. She's now living with Grody. And let's see, is it BD Boy? Is it Joyster? Is it Lou? Let's see, who could it be? I don't recognize this number. Is this a new caller? Who's this?
Oh, hey, Kyle, how you doing?
Doing well. Go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, coming through just fine. Who's this?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. No, this is, Chubbs. So please don't cut me off or anything. I'm not here to, I'm not calling you to troll you. I actually just wanted, I don't mind that you ban. Yeah, I don't mind if you ban me or anything. I mean, I never was much participating in the chats or anything like that. It's fine.
The only times you did participate was to basically concern troll.
I'm just going to...
You admit that?
My opinion, whatever. But I wasn't, honestly... I'll just tell you the honest thing. I wasn't... the comments or anything I made, it wasn't about trolling anything. But anyways, I'm not here to ask for forgiveness.
What are you here to do?
I did want to add something to the debate, right?
Okay.
So I'm not... That's not what I'm doing here. That's not why I called. I was just like... when following the discussion... when we're talking about all these things, the things that I find about... when any movement gets going that might be to the detriment of the Jewish establishment is you might have a group of 10 people meeting together or 20, whatever. Even you can have a very small number of people trying to kind of come together, and you always, in my experience, and this has even been my real world experience, it's magically you'll find a Jew infiltrating the group. It's like this is like their
100%
MO. Modus operandi is that if there's a movement or a group or a people coming together, unifying, for whatever, whether it's for white people or maybe especially anti-Jew, of course, more than anything, is like you might only have 20 people in the group.
Yes,
But
we know
out of
this.
the 20 people, one of them will be a Jew.
And Chubbs,
you know?
Chubbs, this is why we have to, when dealing with people who are operating in text form and also on radio, when we can't look them in the eyes, when we can't check out their past, that's why we have to make judgment calls. And when somebody is concern trolling over and over again, you can understand why I might just say, you know what, we've had enough of him. Anybody else have thoughts on this? I'm going to mute him for a moment. Nick, back to you.
I really don't want to have our conversation derailed, so I would prefer a hang up. And
That's kind of where I was going. That's what I just wanted to see what he had to say. Another Canadian caller there. No offense to John and to Andy. I'm still trying to think of some honest people from Canada with whom I've interacted. Is Brittany Pettibone from Canada? I was just wondering that. I'm not saying she's honest. She could be.
No, but her father is a high-level politician in the Republican Party.
Yeah, how about Brian Rue? He's a class act there.
There's a few people that are
I know. I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah, I can't make any excuses for Trudeau. It's an embarrassment. I mean, he was out at the
Stephen
gay
Harper
parade.
was better, though. Stephen Harper was better, though.
Beady Boy
he
said
was
so.
You know, when he wasn't wearing his little Jew hat and kissing the ass of Pakistanis and, you know, anybody else whose vote he wanted. They're all puppets.
Yep. I actually have a theory that they use people from Canada to run some of these operations so that the U.S. can kind of keep their hands clean, maybe, or I don't know. It just seems like a lot of Jewish subversion comes from Canada.
But hey, you know, I think that because Ezra Levant stuck up for me, I think that maybe I can work with him.
Oh, sometimes I'm very pleased when people leave the network, especially when I don't have to do it, when they do it of their own volition. Okay, let's move on here. We've got some other topics to get to. Let's turn. Yeah, that's where we're going, Nick. I actually had that as the number one note here, but we're getting into it into the second hour. So let's now get to it. A lot of people are getting behind Le Pen and thinking that she is now the real deal. They've gotten fooled by Trump, but we've got American patriotards who are now saying that Le Pen is basically the last stand of implicit white identity in France, and she is going to do it. She's going to MAFA. She is, and Marianne, she is like a princess. So, Nick, we'll start with you. Let's talk about Le Pen and the promotion of her by figures in the alternative media, with one person in particular being Brandon Martinez, which just shows how there is potentially an operation going on here or severe cognitive dissonance.
Well, he just moved to Europe from Canada. He's been living in Canada for a while, too. So
Canada?
Canadian.
I'm invading the first chance I get.
Yeah. So I think he deleted his Twitter account, Brendan Martinez, and deleted a lot of his YouTube videos. There was a tweet that somebody caught something along the line of, if you believe that 9/11 is the litmus test, then something along the lines of, you're really wasting your time. Because it's pretty much irrelevant. 9/11 is irrelevant now.
And what about his stance on Le Pen saying, hey, she might be a Zionist, but as long as she's going to stop Islamic immigration into France, then we've obviously got to choose her.
Well, that's pretty much the whole stance. It's this Macron guy is sort of like an Obama, where he came out of nowhere, came from the banking, the CFR, banking financial institution type of Rothschild Incorporated, but it's really a Trump versus Hillary scenario all over again in France. So the people are then having the same staged selection process of, well, we don't want our borders open because Macron is a Rothschild banking elite that wants open borders, and he's a cuck. So Marine Le Pen is the correct answer for us, and France is going to eliminate the immigration flow and make France great again.
Nick, one question here. What would you do if some Jew came up to you and said, hey, I've got a red pill over here in this hand, I've got a red pill over here in this hand, you gotta take one of them, Goyim?
I'd fucking kick him in the nuts.
There you go. Now you've only got two options. I only gave you two options. Ow!
And pop him in his beady eyes and his beak nose.
It's your fault, Goy. You chose.
One other thing that Martinez has been doing, which has been rampant within the alt-right, where there is no such thing as a hoax unless it fits in with their narrative. They're portraying all of these events that have taken place, such as Charlie Hebdo or the concert hall massacre. They're portraying these things as, well, real events that unfolded exactly how the Jewish media told us they did, and not calling into question whether or not our greatest ally could have had a hand in them, because all indications point to yes, indeed they did. Here is evidence A, B, and C, but they're not looking at that because Islam is the greatest threat and we need to be counter jihadists.
Well, there was an attack in Paris, like 2 weeks ago, and then I tweeted out with the election how that particular incident benefited Le Pen, and then I said in another tweet that I predict or I suspect that there will be either another staged Gladio-style event or there would be some sort of email leak that would benefit kosher nationalist Le Pen. And what happened? We had a leak dump that just took place, exposing Macron for all these shady dealings, which they already said that a lot of this stuff isn't even factual evidence anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing all over again. Same thing with Trump. All of the terror events benefiting him, all the leaks benefiting him. Yeah, you called it there with that. Who was trying to jump in here? We've got Bill, who's still hanging on, and also John.
Sorry, Kyle, that was me. I mean, it's all following the same pattern. What's going on in Europe with the Le Pen and that Geert Wilders guy? They're all what these things all have in common is that they're combining nationalism, like white nationalism, or in Europe's case, the native German and French and Dutch nationalisms. They're combining these things with Zionism, which totally doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're a nationalist, then you're against Jews because Jews are the internationalists. I mean,
no, but they're protecting their borders. They're our model. They're a model for ethnic identity. No, I've heard Richard Spencer.
Bullshit. That's bullshit, and I think what needs to be taken from that is like what are they trying to do? Like, yeah, we know Jews did 9/11. I mean, I didn't even pay attention to all these other terrorist attacks because we already know that Jews are doing these things. That they're okay, they set off bombs and then people get scared and then they elect whoever the Jews put up there says is going to protect them. I mean, we've already figured out how that works. But what are they trying to accomplish with this? And I think what they really want to do with this whole alt-right and this putting these nationalists and these Zionists together is they're not really trying to convince real nationalists to ally with Jews, to give Jews a pass because we think that that Donald Trump or Marine Le Pen is going to do something about immigration. What they're really trying to do is they got to control the left. They got to control the way liberals and people on the left look at the situation. Like honestly, white nationalism and the way people on the right think about things, it doesn't matter. Like, we haven't done anything in the last 20 or 30 or 40 years. We've done nothing. Like, the Jews have basically been steamrolling our countries, and we've done nothing.
Until Pepe came along.
They're not worried about us. What they're trying to do with all of this is they're trying to control the left. They're trying to guide the way the people on the left react to more wars for Israel and the fact that they're just being, massively impoverished. I mean, you don't have to look at it from a nationalist, racialist point of view to realize that your life sucks. To live that to realize that you live in a world that's completely insane.
I think what the Likudniks are trying to do right now, the hardline Zionists, is they're trying to use white people, the right white wing, as a shield for what they're doing, to get us on board en masse with what's going on, because a lot of people have started to kind of fall off with Israel. They don't care as much. They're starting to talk about America first. But I think you're right. It's how the left perceives of things that's also very important.
The left from attacking Israel. They have to stop all these people that are anti-war, that are anti-oppression. All these liberals. They have to prevent these people from massively figuring out. Like, I mean, if 1% of them, figures out that Jews are a problem, that means more than white nationalism.
Well, they're already doing that. The BDS has been massively successful. So what the Hasbara and the operatives, the intelligence operatives, have been doing is setting up this all these left versus right street fights, so that nobody's talking about Israel anymore, or even the war, or opposing it, while we're really on the precipice of something very, very large. But it's problem, reaction, solution, every single level. On a macro scale,
Jewish power.
Yeah,
they have to conceal Jewish power. They basically have to hide what they're doing. Like the Jews, they're running everything, but they have to keep that concealed. So they always need a front man, and the front man, it's always something bad. So it's either a racist, and before racism, it was like one of these Bible thumping, greedy, conservative assholes. It's always some asshole, because they're basically covering up for what is Jewish behavior. They have to keep their power concealed, and they have to control the opposition. Controlling that, that's the key to figuring it out. Jews have to control the opposition, and the opposition is left, and these liberals. I mean, what can you say about these people? I mean, they mean so well. They want to help everybody, but yet they're completely fucking useless. I mean, when it comes to figuring out what Jews are doing to the world.
Yeah. Hey,
well, another thing about the Likudniks is that they are intended to put fear into the Jews a lot of times to get them to move to Israel, which then makes Israel greater.
Yes.
As they flood Arabs out of their countries, Syria, Palestine, parts of Egypt, of course, they've already taken over, and then they send them over to Europe. They've got their clash of civilizations. They annihilate one another. They're battling it out. The Jews are afraid. Jews have been talking about moving from France and other European countries. And where are they going to go? They're going to go to Israel.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it all fits into the Oded Yinon plan and also the Coudenhove-Kalergi plan. And when you look at what's happened within Europe and America with immigration, Jews opened the floodgates. They started doing this in the 60s and actually just right after World War II. And even Hitler was talking about the Jews bringing Negroes into the Rhineland. So this has been a program for quite some time. But now we actually have white people stoop enough, knowing some of this history, to then think, hey, you know what? But it's the left-wing Jews. It's only the commie Jews who are trying to do that. There are plenty of Jews, like Reactionary Jew, on the right side, and we can't have enemies to the right. Some of these Jews are pretty fashy. They get IQ. They understand the black problem. They're not our enemy, and it's not even the Jews themselves as our enemy. The Jews look white to me. They've got so many different ways to obfuscate what they're doing and ways to try to get us on their side, or at least standing in front of them, taking the heat for their crimes. Oh, white people own this and that. White people have this privilege or that privilege, when really what all these leftists and SJWs are talking about is Jewish privilege. And instead of actually trying to educate some of these people on the left, as Nick was saying, the people on the right just want to egg them on and just glorify the ability to get SJWs triggered. And this is just, it's stupid. It's
they're
stupid.
Jews because they're doing what they're doing is good for Jews.
And that's really it. We have Jews causing the problem, controlling.
I could be a Jew. I could be a Jew calling right now. I could be a Jew saying, you know, blah blah blah, this and that, and just trying to mess things up. I mean,
Yeah.
the only way you can be sure about somebody is what are they saying, and are they willing to defend their positions and have an honest debate, and none of them are willing to do that. They always, you know, I was just watching the chat and somebody made a comment like Zogenberg says, here, Trump is totally for real, guys, but Ivanka begs daddy to do things. So like that's their new spin that they're putting on Trump, that, you know, he was actually pro-white, but, you know, then he let his daughter into the White House and so she was scheming. It was fucking bullshit. I mean, the guy was a Jew, you know, he was a Jew plant, you know, the day he ran for the Republican nomination, and you can tell anybody who defends this guy is bad news.
Yeah.
You know, there's just no excuse for it.
Problem, reaction, solution. They control it at each level. They cause the problem. They're out there controlling the reaction, and then they offer you the solution. That's what they've done time and again, and people are saying, well, we've got to accept their solution. We need to choose the lesser of two evils. And, oh, not all Jews are bad, and they're not a monolithic conspiracy against us. Some of them are out there protesting against Israel. I've seen them myself. Okay, we'll go over to Bill before we go back to Nick here. Bill has been listening in for at least some time now. Anything to add? And actually, excuse me, before we even get to you, we don't have a wild card for Wednesday lined up yet. So we've got both John from Canada and Bill on the line. I think either one of these people could do a pretty damn good wild card. Bill already did one. He could do another, or maybe you could do one together. John and Bill. I don't know. Think about it. Let me know by the end of the show. Okay, Bill.
Yes. Jews most certainly have their proxies guard them on all sides. I mean, it's frustrating, but I can understand why there's so many people that are half asleep or just beginning to understand that there's a problem, that they just slip up everywhere. It's just, oh, it's these guys, and they just can't get the picture. They just can't get to the root of the problem. It is frustrating.
Yep. You've got Soros-funded Antifa going against. Go ahead.
And just like what we see in the media, and you know, that's just entertainment for everyone else. You know, the Jews will fund certain groups, they rattle the cage, and then, like you mentioned, they'll have the Antifa fighting the Trump tards, the Trump supporters, MAGA, the good old boys, and now you got some real entertainment television right there. Now you got people tuning in, cheering on the sidelines.
This seems like something that's pretty new. I haven't been around for all that many years, and I'm not too familiar with all of the details of American history. I know about race riots, but I don't know if I know about a time when people were going out there with sports equipment and gas masks and sticks and shields and all that other stuff. I know about the March in Skokie by Frank Collins, who actually turned out to be Frank Cohen. But they were actually out there. They weren't out there like they're out there now. They weren't out there being openly led by Jews like they are now today. The neo-Nazis, where you've got people like Mike Enoch marching along with National Socialists. It's out there. You know, they didn't know at the time with Frank Collins. But what I'm getting at is the level it's reached now, with police standing back and letting the American Gladiators go against the Black Bloc. It's really WWE. Perhaps Vince McMahon is having more of an influence on the White House than just having his wife in there.
Kyle, I haven't seen this much controlled opposition in my life. This is getting to the point where the controlled opposition, the cult of personality, a lot of this is kind of like a repeat of the 60s riots, the race wars going on, L.A. going up in flames with the Watts riots. I mean, this is where it's leading to.
Yeah, but did they have such a circus beforehand?
I'm not sure, but I see this Operation Mockingbird with all of the different alternative media people that, like I said, stem from the Council for National Policy on the right side, where they put out and fund all these different alternative media groups. It's an operation like Mockingbird. And then, of course, you've got plants, just like COINTELPRO, that are infiltrating groups at the same time. It's the same template.
Yep. Good point. Good point. We're just seeing it a little differently. And it could be leading to Helter Skelter this time for real. Go ahead.
Sorry, Kyle, I just had to jump in. I can't help it. But, yeah, I think the way this all works is like the key to understanding, like just stick to the fundamentals, is that Jews, they run everything. They run the media, they run the government, the banks, they have all the money, like they run everything, okay? And the left is their controlled opposition. And when you see all these crazy things that are happening, you know, like, yeah, it seems crazy to us because we understand, we have a better feel for what's happening. But all of this, it's designed for leftist consumption. Like it's not really being thrown at us. It's being thrown out there so that the people on the left can look at it and say, like, oh my God, you know, Trump is this fascist dictator. I mean, that's what they believe, and that's what they're going to respond to. They're going to go out and they're going to blame everything that is happening on white people. Like, I knew when Trump was you know, acting as a racist, I knew it was bad news. There's no good. That you know, playing that race card is gonna end up very badly for us, because they're villainizing white people with this Trump character.
Now here's where I want to take this now. Should we then not be focusing on educating the left towards productive activism? I don't even mean infiltrating them. I mean going in as we are now and explaining things to them. I think that this could bear some fruit. We've been discussing all night about how controlled the right is. I know the left is controlled as well, but there are genuine people on the left. I reached some of them through the screening of the Hellstorm documentary. I was talking to them afterwards about how it was great that in National Socialist Germany, that basically the head and the hands were able to meet, that the left and the right were able to meet. And instead of fighting against each other, they were able to build something great. And they got it. And I really think that Americans at this point, actually on both the right and the left, although they're being polarized so damn hard, I think if reached properly with a good kind of unifying message, which is naming the common enemy, that perhaps we can start to get somewhere. Now, as I'm saying,
no, you get it. That's 100%. That's it right there. We got to reach the left, and it has to be issues that unite everybody. It can't be white nationalism. We got to move away from this white genocide stuff. I mean, it's not that I don't believe it, but they're not issues that help us. We have to use issues, you know, that are universal. We have to talk about, you know, Zionism and what Jews are doing to Palestine and what they're doing with the money, and move away from issues that you know, when we talk about racialist issues, I mean, it's not that these things are wrong. It's just they're losing issues.
See, I disagree. Message. I disagree. We've got white people in the United States all over, very, very pissed off, and they understand some things, but they understand that perhaps they're being disenfranchised. The anti-white agenda is picking up it's been going crazy over the past few years, and if we're not at the center of that, we can't give that ground. We cannot give that ground, especially here at Renegade, in my opinion, because everybody else dealing with these issues, bar a few exceptions, is completely controlled opposition. But I think that what we should do is not alienate, or not, how to put this, well, to look for ways we can work with other races in a mutually beneficial and respectful manner in order to ensure that we have a future. I think that some of these bridges obviously have already been built with Nick doing some great interviews with some Muslim people. And also, I've done some interviews with, there's a Mexican man named Fernando, and other people, black people, have been on this network. I hosted Jesse Lee Peterson's show. So I don't think that being proud of being white and talking about white issues necessarily negates somebody from or prevents somebody from being a potential leader to present a unifying message. I don't think that the way that David Duke goes about trying to present this human rights message is the right way, of course. But I think people are ready to hear it, and I think that black people actually respect a white man who's not willing to throw his own people under the bus, who's actually standing up for his people. I really don't get too many problems from blacks. I understand that they are a problem in terms of criminality, but I really think that this kind of move to get us just to focus on Muslims and blacks and how they're such a big threat is obviously a Jewish plot. And by pointing out white genocide, it really points the finger at the criminals themselves. It gets white people to see that the Jew is the one doing this. Unless you're getting stuck in the bugs trap of never talking about how it's Jews behind white genocide. But if you start looking into white genocide, pretty soon you're going to learn that Jews are doing this to you. So I really think that we can never give the moral high ground on white genocide. We just potentially could further expand our outreach beyond just dealing with that as a primary issue. It will always be an issue, but I think that it is very fruitful to expose other issues as well, especially because our listener base has already heard all of the arguments as to why white genocide is happening and how Jews are doing it. Let's see what other people have to say about this topic. Bill, what do you think? And then back to Nick.
Well, I absolutely agree with you, Kyle. I don't think that the white genocide is something that we should give up. It's very important. We have to keep this racially conscious within our own people. And as for black people, I think most of them are fairly reasonable. I haven't had too much trouble with black people. If we just avoid senseless race hating, I think if we can, and slavery to blacks is something that's very significant because the liberals and the Jews have effectively beaten that into them. But if we can convince them, if we can show them that the Jews financially gained greatly from their slavery and that they have been playing off of them and try to use them as a proxy, I think there's some real opportunity there. I mean, I agree. We need, to some level, a little bit of unity here, and I think if we can get some Asians, some blacks, and some groups on our side, or that are at least sympathetic to us, it'll be very good. I mean, like those black Israelites, I don't care much. I think they're pretty ridiculous.
I'd prefer not, but they're pretty funny.
They are funny, but there is one thing they do, and that is they yell down at the Jew because they somehow think that they're the Jews. But that type of attitude is very interesting because how do you counter that? The black people are a protected group, but now you have them like a crazed dog barking at Jews. It's pretty interesting, and I think if you can have that, if they were on your side. Well, I'm not saying that you can get them to be like that for us, but it's a very interesting dynamic.
And you're a white devil. They're never going to ally with you.
Yeah. I enslave the whites and the Asians and everyone else. It's pretty.
Make us lick their boots. Yeah, I don't think we should ally with the black Israelites, but Cynthia McKinney was on the network speaking with Wardo, and I really think that if we're able to get a coalition of different people working together who have different interests, but working together to get Jews out of power here in America, and especially the Israeli dual citizens out of our government, we could really get somewhere and present a coherent message to the American people. If we had various people pulling towards the same common ends, and having somebody like Cynthia McKinney being on the network, willing to be with us, it essentially gives an endorsement of our views in the public mind. I'm not saying that she endorses everything we're saying, but I'm saying that it looks very good that we're able to work with a black congresswoman against a common enemy.
Hey, Kyle, you really need to get her on, or myself, either one of us, and have a powerful interview that spreads like wildfire.
Yes.
I wasn't too impressed with how the first interview of her being on the network, the last half hour was pretty decent. But we need, like you said, some sort of a solidarity movement, and that's already in the works already with, like you said, some of the people that I've already had on my show. Al Fatah is looking forward to having a book produced as well as a documentary. We're working on the book aspect of having a ghostwriter for her, as well as the documentary. I believe that Sinead and Kyle would do a fabulous, excellent job for that documentary. And what does that do? When you have Renegade Films on a documentary as portraying a real story of real footage of what happened in Libya, so you're also putting out the message to not only the people who already follow and pay attention to Renegade, but a whole new group of people who would ally with our message. And then Jonathan Azaziah is a huge asset to the cause of resistance of world Jewish power.
It could just be so powerful, because what we're dealing with here is the truth. We might have some bias, but we're really just after the truth, and we have other goals in mind as well. But the point is, what we're presenting, it's not just for one particular group of people, not just for white men, or not just for white people. Anybody can listen to this. It's not a gated community here. Anybody can listen, and they do. I get messages from all sorts of different people. We have a number of Arab listeners. A number of... Go ahead.
Kyle, I was questioned by some people for having certain individuals on my show in the past, such as Trevor Labonte and Mark Dankoff. You know, I was trying to make an alliance and reach a handout to the ugly truth, and that was my goal. And I was hoping that they would have gotten off of the Trump train.
Yeah, it's just very disappointing. Because, well, we're not... Well, we here at the network now are not just raving racist the way that the media portrays. We understand the struggle of other people. We're not idiots. We're not heartless bastards. We're not the way that the Daily Stormer wants to make us seem. And that's why they're always used as an example of white nationalism in America. Or remember when Matt Heimbach was the new face of white nationalism? Because that's how they want to paint us. Or David Duke with the Masonic KKK, Grand Wizard. They'll always just throw that to paint us as just being these idiots who have no legitimate grievances. That obviously is not the case, and the media, the government, knows it, and that's why Renegade has been shunned by almost everyone, not just the mainstream media, but the alternative media as well. And it's part of it has to do that we're not willing to play with compromised assets.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, we're having a huge impact here, but nobody's talking about it. You'd think that somebody would want to cover a story about the influential racists and anti-Semites who are not on the Trump campaign. No, they want to make it seem like every proud white person was 100% behind Donald Trump. Isn't that interesting?
It would be great to have our own Waffen SS, the multiracial battalion force of the Reich, working and coordinating efforts to eliminate the Jewish power.
Yes,
that would be cool.
I've long had this vision in my head of the multiracial or multicultural National Socialist Front, and it would essentially be a Waffen SS. And you already see in other countries where the National Socialist ideal has taken up and taken hold amongst the population, in a much better way than it has been in the United States. They wear the swastika, honestly, better than most people in the United States who wear it. When you see it in some Asian countries or in Mexico, or it's all around the world. We have millions and millions of people who are sympathetic to what the Germans and their allies were doing in World War II, who know the score on Jews and understand that white people have a right to exist.
We have a symbolic incident that just took place. The Chavez statue was knocked down and brought down by the neoliberal paid so-called right over in Venezuela, symbolic of the Saddam Hussein statue being brought down. So Venezuela, similar sort of like a national socialist type of economy system with nationalizing of businesses, and sort of like a Libyan model in some ways as well.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the fall of Venezuela happening as we speak.
You know, here's my main message. To kind of sum up what I was getting at before. We have the potential to unify our people, but also to, instead of having it be us against the world, which is the way many people want to frame it, and it's white men. It's awakened white men against the entire world, including our own women. That's the box they want to put us in. But we have the potential to transcend that completely, turn the tables, and have it be us, the awakened Gentiles, the non-Jews of the world, against this tiny, tiny percent who has been parasiting off of all of us and turning us against each other to do their bidding. It's that simple.
We can win this. We can do this. We can take these people down. I mean, there's not that many of them. I mean, we just need to get rid of all these fucking troublemakers, these Trump trained people and these shills, and stick to the hard facts. I mean, you said it. It's the goal here is to destroy Jewish power. I mean, this parasite has latched itself onto our powerful white nations, and we need to expose that power and disable it. And you know, I mean, the issues. Sorry to go back to what we were saying. I mean, I'm not abandoning white nationalism, but I'm thinking strategically.
It's a tainted term.
Winning.
White nationalism is a tainted term too.
Yeah, it's tainted. Like it's associated with the Jews have villainized it. So the winning issues for us, you know, it's kind of like the way Jews are doing it. Like they don't care about black people. They use them as a weapon or as a tool to accomplish their goals. So I mean, the winning issues for us are basically those issues that expose Jewish power, and so issues that, you know, a lot of people are going to be receptive to. I mean, you know, what's happening in the Middle East is just terrible. I mean, I consider myself a white nationalist, but I think what's happening to those countries and those people is just awful. I mean, the way that they're being treated by these self-righteous Jews. I mean, they don't deserve that, you know. And I'm saying that sincerely and honestly. I'm not saying that cynically because you know, just because I want to destroy Jewish power. I really think it's the right thing to do. I mean, that's the truth, and that's the winning issue for us. It's you know, everything that Jews are doing, you know, to all the people of the world. I mean, it's the same pattern over and over again.
Now, I don't have pathological altruism like Kevin McDonald likes to talk about, but I like to see people living up to their potential. I'd like to see all people having pride in themselves and doing exceptional things. I don't like to see injured, hobbled, sick animals. That doesn't get me off. Unlike Jews, who seem to just love seeing everybody else suffer. No, I want to see any kind of breed of dog reach their potential and be what they were meant to be. I'd like to see all the different people. I don't want to see dogs being beaten and abused, mistreated and mangy and flea-ridden. That's not what I would like. I would love to be able to travel the world and talk to other proud, intelligent people from other races, to see their culture, but not to try to exploit them or to invade them or just to destroy them in any way. We need to have real relations, real human relations here in this world.
We never did those things. We mean, we never took slaves. We didn't oppress anybody. We didn't genocide all these people. I mean, okay. There's all sorts of bad things that happen, but this thing that's been, somebody was telling me the other day, that the white people in Canada and the United States, that they killed all the Indians, and that's just not true.
There have been some pretty big crimes, especially when you look at what the Catholic Church was doing in Canada with a lot of the Indian children. That's not what the people were about. What white people are about.
Were
there white people in that church?
What they said about us. They villainized us, as these oppressors and these genociders. I mean, if white people were guilty and capable of killing all of the Indians, then why didn't they go to Africa and kill all the niggers? I mean, Africa's right there. And it's way bigger.
Here's the thing.
Go ahead, Nick.
Here's the thing. We're constantly being reminded about what one group of people did to another. Who is doing this reminding to instigate this friction and tension? It's being taught in our schools intentionally to have this friction and to have this blame game going on so that people never forget.
Yes.
That's the Jewish model. Never forget. And they instill that in us, too.
You know what? Here in the United States, before Obama, I didn't see a whole lot of racial hatred coming my way. I didn't really think about it too much, to be honest. Yeah, there was a program, White Genocide, going on, but what I'm saying is the racial tensions have been ratcheted up so much. I went to school with a lot of Amerindians on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. This is the same tribe that they had that supposed first Thanksgiving with. And a lot of them still had some animosity. And you know what? I respected it. I understood it. This had been their land, and they were disenfranchised. It changed. But you know what? They still really liked all the modern conveniences, and a lot of them wouldn't want to live like they did before. But the point I was getting at is, we should respect that and not see ourselves as just being complete opponents. Try to understand them. And
not only that, but as victims.
Yes. Yeah, I liked seeing their ethnic pride, where they would have their festivals for their people only. They'd allow some outsiders to witness it, but certain games that they play, like Fireball, they wouldn't let a non-Amerindian into that. So we could learn from some of these people, but their heritage is not our heritage. We need to look at our heathen past to really try to find some of our unifying customs. But we are running out of time. I think it's a very productive area for us to venture into, is how to make alliances. And this is what the alt-right and all of these other really polarizing groups are failing at, and were never intended to do. They were intended to ensure that we have a wedge between the white working class and the rest of the Americans who are being completely trod underfoot. There are serious crimes taking place against all of us, and the criminals would love for us to be fighting in the streets amongst each other. Real quickly here, Nick, you join me first. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, real quick, I believe that there will probably be a military draft. Anybody that's listening, no matter what your financial situation is, if you're trying to climb up the corporate ladder and get a free education and a bonus that might come your way for entering the military, don't. If there's a draft, do not join.
Good advice. Hey, I'm going to take out some of the last breaks here so we can let other people finish up. let's go to Bill. Bill, final thoughts.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Kyle. I think there's something very beautiful about the way certain groups and cultures do things, and it's magnificent to watch, but we have to remember it is theirs and not ours. And if we keep that in mind, then we can really enrich ourselves.
Mm-hmm. All right, and let's go to John. John, final thoughts.
I have nothing else I need to say. I mean, I think we hit the nail on the head. We need to go after the Jewish power and look at the big picture. I mean, the Jews are running everything. They're controlling the opposition, and I think that's where that's where our weapons are. Get winning issues and find issues that we can use to go straight after the Jew.
Yeah, and we should never be afraid of trying new things. We can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. All right. We do have one other caller here. I'm going to see if they have anything to add for 45 seconds. Hello, caller from Virginia. Who's this? 45 seconds of airtime. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is that me, Kyle?
Yeah, who's this?
This is John McCracken.
John,
how you doing?
You've got 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I have some things I'd like to articulate, but mostly I just want to say that we should never forget that Western civilization is probably the greatest civilization in the whole world, in the history of the whole world. And don't forget that. No matter how bad they try to portray us as evil and everything like that, remember, it's the greatest civilization of all time. It's the civilization of...
I agree with you. And what the saddest part is, we have no vanguard, except for us here at Renegade. I haven't seen any other organization out there that's really actually standing up for the greatest civilization. Where are our warriors? Hey, it's time, guys. We need to do something. We are under attack on every level, and our enemies are growing very bold every single day. But they are worried because we are rising. Let's keep it that way. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Stay tuned. Much more to come.